What would you say was your toughest class or rotation in medical school?
Oh, okay. I have to think back here. I would say histology. I hated it.
Ew.
Just in terms of
Yes.
just like, I don't know. It just didn't, everything looked the same to me, even though I'm supposed to be a visual, be able to discriminate things visually going into radiology, things like that.
Excuse me, is this the reading room?
Yes, I'm Dr. Saad Manzoul.
I'm Dr. Travis Howard.
Welcome to the reading room. Thank you for pressing play. We have a special guest here today, Dr. Hussan Mohammed. What's up? How are you today?
Hello, sir.
How are you guys today?
Appreciate you
man.
coming.
Thanks for
Appreciate you
coming
coming
by.
all the way out
Oh,
here.
it's good to see you guys not in your scrubs and outside of the hospital.
Yes,
That was nice,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Work-life balance.
Yes.
Radiology life.
Radiology life, exactly.
That's the road, exactly.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So, our first question that we're going to ask everyone is, what would you say was your toughest class or rotation in medical school?
Oh, okay. I have to think back here. I would say histology. I hated it.
Ew.
Just in terms of
Yes.
just like, I don't know. It just didn't, everything looked the same to me, even though I'm supposed to be a visual, be able to discriminate things visually going into radiology, things like that.
Oh, histology, you're so useless.
Yeah, I just
So
couldn't do it. I mean, it's super important and a skill I wish I could have, especially seeing how great our pathology colleagues are. But
They
it
are.
just for me, it just didn't click. And it was also like one of the first courses in med school, and
Yes.
obviously that transition to med school, can be very
Very much.
challenging.
So tell me, was it digital or was it all microscope at the time?
Great question.
That's a good question. It was both. So I think I feel like I can never get the microscope right.
That was one
you
of
know,
my big
yeah.
struggles. That's why I didn't like it.
Like it's either just the scopes would either feel like it was too close or too far away.
Did you do two eyes or one eye?
I think I tried to do two eyes. I tried to look like I was doing two eyes, but really I was probably only looking through one.
Facts.
That's
Yeah.
real.
Big
That's
facts.
real. That's right. Oh, it's
Yeah.
funny.
But
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember our histology was like kind of like part of like other classes, so it was like kind of longitudinal. You could like never get away from it. So
So just always there.
it was just always like every time we had like a exam, it was like 10 questions on like histology, which is, basically at least made me like not necessarily focus on it, because I was like, let me just focus on everything else. Because the histology
It's
stuff,
just such a
I'm
small
not gonna
portion.
get.
portion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so when it came to the microscope, I used no eyes actually.
Just close down. Take a nap. Yeah.
Just
There
count
you
it
go.
down.
Interesting. Yeah. So let me ask you, Hassan. So where are you from?
Oh, well, so, you've known me since birth pretty much, but Travis, I'll kind of direct more of this answer to you since having the pleasure of meeting you for the first time in person today.
Yes.
So I grew up in a small college town called Carbondale, Illinois. This is 6 hours south of Chicago, because everyone always assumes if it's Illinois, it's somewhere near Chicago.
Not
This
Chicago.
is not Chicago.
Big state.
Yes,
Long
exactly.
state,
Yeah.
flyover state.
Yes, very much. Yes, very much. There's a university there called Southern Illinois University. Pretty much, I would say, the large majority of people there are somehow affiliated with the school, or in some kind of way associated with the school. That brings in everything there, and it's kind of like a pocket of diversity, was surrounded by a very more southern feeling area, or
Very homogeneous
rural
area.
Yes. Southern Illinois actually feels very southern, even though it's above the Mason-Dixon line. My parents, what brought them there was the university. So Sudini's parents.
Oh,
it's
similar story.
Yes,
Exactly.
very, very similar. I mean, you essentially consider him and his brother Waleed, who's behind the camera over there, my brothers, because all grew up in the same area, and as you can imagine, there weren't many Sudanese people in Carbondale, Illinois. So, yeah.
You guys were like probably like 3 of you. So Carbondale, Illinois.
Yep.
Yeah. What was can you tell me what was most difficult about growing up there, and what would you say you hated the most about the place? And what you loved about it?
Yeah. That's a good question. I think first of all, I'll say while you're there, you don't appreciate it, and everyone just wants to leave. It's like one of those places that you're just, you know,
it's so slow.
You just want to leave, like, you know.
It's so slow.
It's just I think as kids growing up, and you know, obviously there was that small pocket of diversity like in Carbondale, but that surrounding area is so, you know, you just feel so you know, I think homogenous is a good word that you said, and there wasn't a lot of opportunities outside of there. So everyone's goal really is to try to leave, to go to a bigger city. Most of my friends and the people that we grew up with usually end up going to Chicago. Or, you know, some go to St. Louis because that's the closest big city.
Exactly.
But in terms of like challenges, I would say, you know, definitely, you know, just trying to fit in is always a challenge in a community like that. People kind of.
I was gonna say, so like when you were in school, did you feel like you were very much into school because there was nothing else going on, or was it kind of the opposite where you just felt like I didn't want to do anything?
Yeah. I mean, I think I was into school because like I didn't have a choice. Our parents, you know, like my father's a professor and my mom is, you know, ended up getting a master's in education. So it was in workforce education. So she was, I mean, there were
no choice.
There was no choice. I mean, which is fantastic. Yeah, exactly. Not if you want to eat. Yeah, I mean, and I actually grew up like funny, you know, thing that probably people were like, wow, that's kind of weird. But you know, we grew up like, you know, no cable until like high school. And so that like essentially like all of our entertainment was just either being outside or reading a lot of books.
But you guys did have the 2 movies.
Yeah, we did have the 2 movies.
2 movies in
yes,
VCR.
We did.
What was it? It was I think it was Clueless.
Yeah.
And was it Dumb and Dumber?
Yes.
I remember Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber and Clueless.
Yes. We actually had 3 though. We had Ace Ventura also.
Oh yeah,
but
that's true.
You know, it's okay.
That one.
Yeah.
That's true. Yes. I love
we were very much into Jim Carrey movies. I don't know why. But it was just funny. Yeah.
That's funny you say that, man. I have a similar experience too. I mean, we didn't have cable until I was in high school. And it was actually DirecTV.
Wow.
Yeah, right. And then small town where you struggle to fit in.
Where did you grow up?
In Northeast Ohio.
Which
like a small town, Warren, Ohio, and then even smaller in a rural area. I went to high school with like 130 people I graduated with.
Wow.
But you know, farms on my road, and it was a bit of a mix because my dad's a pastor of a church. So I would go into the city.
Yeah.
And be around my cousins and people that look like me, but then I would go out to school and I'd be in like
be by yourself.
Calling me this and doing this and doing that. So, you know, it's funny, you know, you get to a certain point where you're like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I'm leaving Carbondale. I'm leaving Warren, Ohio. I'm going to
Well, I think for you, like, did you feel like Columbus would be the place to go? Was that kind of like the goal, was to like get out of Warren and go to Columbus?
I got there and then it's, you know, I wanted to go other places. But I mean, I could have been very happy in Columbus.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. You know, I interviewed for a job in Warren.
Did you?
I did.
As a radiologist.
As a radiologist. The market was ugly when I finished. And I remember interviewing. I think I applied to like 150 jobs when I finished, because there were no jobs. And I remember going to Warren and you know, like I kind of used my Ohio State connections, and I was like, you know, I went to Case and you don't want to be in Northeast Ohio. Those guys did not believe me. Like they were like, no way. They were like, no way. And he even, the one guy even like when it came after my interview, he actually even like, he sent me like, he got on the phone with me. We ended up being good friends actually. He ended up calling me. He's like, listen, we like you. We think you'll be good. But if you take the job, we know you're leaving. Yeah, he's just like, we know you're leaving. So we can't even give it to you.
Oh, wow.
And he even like referenced me growing up in Carbondale too. He was like, I know you're going to leave. So yeah, he was right.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have stayed.
No.
The pay would have been good though.
The pay would have been good.
And your money would have went a long way.
Yeah, very long way.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
That's true. Oh,
So
that's so funny.
Is all your family still back there? Or?
Yeah, so yeah, my family, my wife's family, they're all still back there.
Okay.
But we chose this location too because it's just kind of a short drive home, like 4 to 5 hours. So
Oh, is it really that close from here?
Yeah, so-
Yeah, I think Cleveland's like
About that, yeah.
5 or 6. Yeah, it's not too far.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
So it works.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
But back to you.
Yes, back to you. So high school. So how were you in high school, like academic wise? Like, did you feel like you were kind of studying hard and kind of had a goal, or was it kind of?
Yeah. So I think I was that person that probably, I wanted to get 90% and then stop. Like, I wanted to get the A,
You want to get the cool A, not the nerd A. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess so.
You want to get the
in some ways,
93, not the 97.
Very well, bro.
Oh, there's a science to it. There's absolutely a science to it. You have to, yeah. You want to be cool, but like not like you didn't put all your effort in.
Yeah,
I coulda,
Yeah, right.
but I didn't.
exactly.
It's the general
Yeah.
flex all around, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not gonna, put Waleed on blast behind the camera there, but
Yes.
he's very much even more in that way, I think. But anyhow,
That's a different story. Guys.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
a different story. Yeah, but yeah, I think in high school, I very much. Everyone wants to, be accepted by, the peers that they respect the most in that, in that area. And everything's about, social acceptance at that age, right? But,
True.
but yeah, I think, I knew obviously from what my parents instilled in me that I needed to, do certain things to make sure, I could get to where I wanted to go, including getting out of Carbondale.
Mm-hmm.
And you had your older brother who got out.
Yes,
Right.
and so my brother Hussan, he's like just one of my biggest influences, and he kind of set that. He was a role model to me. It's like, oh, he crushed it in school, but obviously also felt like he was like very, very quote unquote cool, and
Very outgoing.
very outgoing, and had a great reputation, in high school, and
Big shoes.
what's it? Yeah, so
He
I
was
think
eclectic.
yes, and I mean he and Saad were like,
Yeah, so he was like, so he was my age, and then my little brother was his age.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
So we kind of grew up that way.
Nice.
yeah, so basically like two pairs of brothers, kind of going through everything
Exactly.
That's really nice.
together.
And
Yeah.
he ended up at U of I, and then you kind of decided U of I as well for undergrad.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically, he was the one who kind of paved that way, him and Saad, and it's definitely not a, you can't make any progress or achieve, I think, professional successes that are difficult without having a role model and mentors
So
along
true.
the way. And
Yes.
as much as I like to try to clown Saad, but he's he certainly paved the way for me in a lot of ways, especially radiology. And it's certainly not a surprise that we're both at Kaiser Radiology now. So
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. So
Yeah, but we talked about that on our last pod, just having mentors and
Yes.
just seeing someone do it.
yeah,
And, I think seeing someone do it right in front of you is very important as well. So
yeah.
no, that makes sense. And you knew you wanted to be a physician when you went to undergrad, or was it kind of up in the air? Because we have an
Yeah.
engineer right here.
Oh, you were engineering?
Yeah, I was.
Oh,
Worked
which
for a
kind of-
little bit.
Oh,
I did industrial engineering, and
okay.
I worked for Lockheed Martin for a little bit, and, but I found the light.
You found the light or the dark?
In the dark.
I found the light in the darkness.
So what made you switch?
I didn't like my jobs. You know, I went from, you know, the manufacturing, industrial engineering aspect of it to consulting work at Accenture and tried the business side as a financial analyst. And I just, I didn't like what I was doing every day, man.
I see.
And I wanted to see my labor transition into, you know, someone else being better off. You know, I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
And you could connect the dots maybe in a long circuitous way with my other gigs. But being a physician, I get so much gratification from just seeing a patient do well.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
I think that supersedes any of the other benefits of being a physician.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man.
Yeah,
That's
that's
how I
great,
got there.
man. Yeah.
And it took going and trying different things to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because believe you me, my parents would have loved if I would have been a doctor straight off,
Straight off
straight
the-
out the gate. But,
Yeah.
you know, I wasn't feeling it at that time.
Yeah.
So.
But you
That's
gotta
your
take
path,
you
yeah.
gotta take your path. You know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
your story's written for you, so you kind of got to go through your journey before.
Mm.
Because it's such a long,
That's deep.
like once you commit to going in medicine, it's such a long haul that like if you have any doubts or if you feel like you're not all the way in, you know, it's just too tough.
Oh,
Because it's
absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
gotta go explore other things, you know, before you decide that this is what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because it's a long time. You know, you'll be you'll be like 25, 26. You know, sitting in $300,000 worth of debt while your friends went to like law school and or
Yes.
engineers. You know, they have cars and houses.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
it's so different. It's so
Absolutely.
different. So, and I'm sure like, you know, you went straight through, and you know, I'm sure you saw people who like, you know, when you're like, you know, late 20s and you know, you still have to, you know, go to the dollar menu because it's too expensive still.
Yeah.
You're in med school, you
Yeah.
know, like it's
100%.
different. It's totally different.
Yeah.
So.
Was there any point during your journey that you wanted to quit?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you remember like one time where you were like, I'm done with this, I'm out?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think.
During medical school or during residency?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely.
During histology.
Yeah, exactly.
Specifically during
Specifically.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to choose one that would be most appropriate. But
Well, how about this? Why don't you tell us about how about in undergrad? Was there any point in undergrad when you felt like, you know, you didn't want to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the very beginning, the first semester, I'm not gonna divulge too many like personal details yet, but I mean, there was basically like a, you know, kind of a crisis that struck my family when I got into undergrad. I actually went in undecided, was not thinking medicine at that time, and then this happened, and we spent a ton of time, you know, obviously with my family members' recovery and seeing what happened, and you know, gaining so much respect for the care team that took care of this family member, and so that's kind of what inspired me to go into.
I was gonna say it's an important lesson. I think for anyone who's choosing the path is you know, you can control your education part.
Yeah.
But the life part you can't necessarily control.
No.
And like that can
100%.
happen at any point to anybody. And there's nothing wrong with like taking time off to figure it out, or you know, kind of questioning what it is you want to do, because there's just certain things you can control and there's certain things you just can't control.
Yeah.
That's
You
a
know?
very good point you made. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like medicine in general, a culture that I'm familiar with, going to medical school, you didn't take time off. What do you mean you have a person?
Exactly.
I know, right?
What do you mean you have something you need to take a break for? You know, and you know, I think now things are changing, which I'm appreciative of. But you know, it's important to do that.
Yeah.
It's important if you need to
100%.
stop, take a break, rethink, recenter. It's easy to get derailed.
Absolutely.
You know? I mean,
Absolutely.
Thankfully, you stayed on track and you finished it. And you got where you need to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but I think I definitely have an appreciation for taking a step back, like you said. I mean, I think that's just so important to like you said, recenter, figure out what what you're doing this for,
Mm-hmm.
and not to lose sight of, you know, that reason for why you're doing that. Like going back to just like that undergrad story, that first semester, I mean, I was very, very, if it wasn't for my parents, I probably would have, like, you know, taken a leave of absence from college for a little bit, just because the guilt of not being there every single day with my parents, because this all happened, you know, far away from where I was going to school.
Yeah.
That guilt was overpowering a lot of times. And so my parents, you know, but they were like, absolutely not. You cannot take any, you know, time off. You need to, you know, keep going and, you know, do what you know, like what, you know, we want you to keep going. And I could tell how important it was for them to see me still keep going. And, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, sometimes you're doing it, you know, I think that's the other thing, you know, for people who are going to become like first generation physicians, other people who like haven't had a lot of necessarily academic success in their family. It's important that, like, you know, sometimes they put a lot of pressure on you because you're the one. They're like, you're the one, like you have to make it. And it's kind of tough because, you know, it's a different pressure that, you know, some people don't necessarily feel. But it's something to acknowledge and, you know, kind of just make a decision based on how you feel about how far you want to go with it and if you feel like you can handle it. But it kind of definitely, like, molds you into, like, you know, whatever you're meant to be. So
yeah, I feel like that's an episode all on its
Yes.
own.
It is.
Dive into survivor's remorse, dive into being the one and what that means and the pressure on you. But
exactly. But it's a long process. It's again, it's such a long process that, like, you have to want to do it, and you wouldn't have made it through if you didn't want to do it. Because it's so tough. It's really tough. So, so in our last episode, we kind of went back and forth on applying to, like, med school. How was applying to med school for you?
That's a loaded question.
How many?
I applied to a lot, and I think that was.
Ask Travis how many schools he applied to.
Hey, listen.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
How many schools did you apply to?
It might have been like, I don't know, 10 or 15, something like that.
Oh man, you were confident.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're confident. It's
I
good.
don't know.
Beast
It's
mode.
just like, this is what it is. It
Is
doesn't
it-
happen.
Yeah, well, you had a good perspective.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I was in. Yeah, we talked about this. But I think I was in offensive line numbers 78, 79.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Just
many.
throw it up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to throw them up. And, like, you know, I'm old enough where, like, I had a book with, like, all the you know, with all the med schools in it.
Yeah.
And, like, all the MCAT score averages and, like, what the school. You remember
Yeah.
what that book was called? But
I do remember that book.
Yeah, I
and
used
the
to-
contact information for each school.
oh, exactly.
Yeah,
I had like the secretaries memorized. I knew, like, everybody.
Secretaries.
Yeah, it was.
For 78.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Oh, it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot because you know, one shot,
One shot. Yeah,
Actually,
that's
it's
true.
like 80 shots.
But you just need one. You just
kill.
need one to open the door.
You just need one kill. That's exactly
It's a
right.
smarter approach, man. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
it's
Like,
a more
the whole
expensive. It's a
job's
more
there.
expensive approach.
Yeah.
Yes, my first Capital One credit card was opened.
Was it
around that
right?
time, yeah, definitely. But no, go ahead. Please tell
That's
us.
funny. I think it was probably around 40. Yeah.
About 40.
It's
Oh,
about
that's
40.
not bad.
Yeah.
Like,
at least.
you're like a free
at least.
safety. Free safety numbers. This guy's quarterback numbers over
Quarterback
here.
numbers. He was confident, man. He knew. He knew. Yeah.
Stupidity.
You made it through.
Oh, he knew. It worked out. Where did you go to med school?
Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I applied, I'm like, I want to go to an HBCU
Yeah.
or I want a scholarship.
Okay.
So I applied in certain pockets, and Cincinnati was it for me.
All over, or like Midwest, or do you remember?
I did focus on certain regions. My now wife, and at the time we were dating long distance, she was kind of looking at places kind of around the DC, Maryland, Virginia area.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably, and you were out here already for at George Washington.
Yeah, residency. Yeah.
So those were ones like the main reasons I even applied in DC, Maryland, Virginia kind of area. And I definitely applied to like all the Midwest schools. Didn't get much love from there, which was, I don't know.
Surprising.
I'm still a little bit like chip on my shoulder for not like, you know.
Oh,
like
I told Travis last episode I went to Ohio State and did not get an interview at Ohio State.
Yeah.
That's so strange.
And I think they told me to do the med prep program or something.
Oh,
I
really?
was like,
You're like,
what?
no.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. And then where else? Yeah, and then
Did you interview at a bunch of places?
I interviewed at like, no, probably like, I think probably on like 5, I don't know, maybe like 5 places, not that many, yeah.
I feel like, you know, for the black people, I feel like you might not get as many interviews, but you'll kill the interviews.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because like, you know, like you'll be unique. The fact that you made it this far means that like you actually can talk to people and can interact, you know, so like I think for us, like a lot of times the rate limiting step is like getting the interviews.
That's true.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
like I think once you get the interviews, you're good.
You know that the
Yeah,
conversation.
exactly,
You know how to
exactly.
bounce around topics and show respect and just be humble. And
Exactly.
Those are the things that they're looking for, right?
Yeah,
100%.
because you've had to like basically interview your whole life. Like you've just been interviewing the whole time, so like
that's true. That's very true.
So like I feel like when I talk to people, they're like, you know, I applied to all these places. Like, nah, just get your interviews. Once you get your interviews, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah,
Just
that's
get the
very
interviews and just see what happens, and you'll be good. So where did you end up at med school?
Yeah, so I ended up at University of Maryland in
nice.
Baltimore. So you know, right up the street, I guess, from here. But yeah, I think it ended up being between there and Howard.
Okay.
HU.
Yeah. It was, and then it came down to just you know, like feel on the interview day and who I met. But yeah, it would have been great to be at the other one. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, just getting in.
So, yeah.
Just getting in is nice. Did you apply? You said you kind of applied to like some like more African American schools, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I really wanted to go to Morehouse School of Medicine. I went down there and I had a good vibe.
No, I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
And then you know, Howard, I had a good vibe there. Meharry, I don't know what happened. I was supposed to do my interview with Meharry. We got all mixed up.
But did you go or no?
I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't want to. I don't want to lie. So, anyways, I liked Howard.
Yeah.
I remember came with my mom, and she was just so proud.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's great.
I'm sure.
We stayed in some dingy hotel.
Doesn't matter.
Like, we were like,
it's like a Blackish episode.
oh man, yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
You know, I interviewed at Meharry with like one of my best friends. We went at the same day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an interview. It was just us hanging out. It was literally just us hanging out.
Those are the best.
Those are the
Yeah,
best
it
ones.
was,
That's why you want to go. You're like, it's gonna be like this the whole time.
It was fun. It was really fun. Like I think for like a couple hours, like we just followed the med students around, which was fun. You know, so it was nice. I had a great time there. So.
Why did you choose to go there?
You know, I don't. You know, like I think I just had a good vibe from Case because I had like already established a rapport with like the people there, and you know, me and my friend, like we had promised that we'd go to med school together.
Nice.
Yeah, so we basically were like, yeah, we're gonna go to the same school, and it basically came down to Meharry, Case, and I think he had gotten into Michigan, and I went to Ohio State.
Yeah.
And they did not. I actually got an interview at Michigan, but I think it was right after like one of the times that Ohio State beat Michigan, which is like all the time, obviously. So like I'm sitting there in the interview, and like, you know, they have like a bunch of people there, right? Like 20 people interviewing, and I think at one point, like the guy that's like doing the interviews or whatever, he kind of has us all in the room, and he has me stand up, and he's like, you know, is anyone here from Ohio State? And then like it was right after Thanksgiving. It was like right after like we had beat them, so like I stand up, and then like he just has everyone boo me. Yeah, they literally just booed me.
A Michigan person would get that same treatment.
Yeah, they would. They would. But you know, the funny part was that me and my buddy were like, yo, if we get to Michigan, we're going to go to Michigan. So then he gets in, and then I get a rejection letter with a smiley face on it.
Are you serious?
Wow.
That's
They
not true.
troll
No,
you.
it's not
No.
true.
I was like, wow.
I got waitlisted, actually. Yeah. But
That was a good one.
Yeah,
But-
I
got me
believe you for
going.
sure. Yeah.
Like, those.
I'm just saying. It's we wanted to go to the same school. We ended up at Case, and it was good. It was good. Yeah. So wait. So back to our special guest.
Oh, gosh,
So Maryland. Okay. So tell us about Maryland. What was the vibe like?
Maryland was great. I actually I think you always look at things with rose-colored glasses on after the fact, especially when you're done with histology. But so the friends I made in med school are some of the closest friends I still have to this day. And I think the people there were really fantastic. I think, relatively speaking, for a medical school, it was fairly diverse. And obviously Baltimore has a lot of culture. I really liked Baltimore. It grew on me a lot. I know it's a very
R.I.P. Omar, by the way.
yes, R.I.P. Okay, Williams. Yep. So I think that was just like a great experience. Just the camaraderie with the classmates and everything like that. The things
I love Baltimore, by the way.
You like Baltimore?
I love Baltimore,
yeah, there you
man.
go. Yeah, there you
It's
go.
the ground of that city that it makes me feel at home.
Yeah.
It's got a blue collar feel to it.
It's got a very Ohio feel.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
It does.
There you
I love
go.
it.
Yeah, the industrial kind of background, right? A little
Super.
bit, but,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like Baltimore is just like one of those cities. It's like, if you don't like it, get out. Kind of like it's kind of like the attitude a little bit. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, hey, this is who we are. Like, you know what I mean? If you don't like it, get out.
Yeah. That's exactly right. It's so funny.
But yeah.
Nice. So
Good.
Baltimore, and then tell us about residency. How was that? How was applying to residency? How'd you decide on radiology?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Why
that's
the
a
reading
great
room?
question. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, radiology is one of those things, right? Like you, as a med student, you just don't get exposed to it. Like, until it's almost like too late. It seems like, most schools, I don't know how it was for you in Cincinnati, but like we can do a radiology rotation until like beginning of fourth year. Pretty much, like to do a full elective kind of thing. But yeah, I think for me, one, I ended up like meeting some mentors, obviously, that were in it, including Saad, of course, and also some like my med school, some of the attendings that I got along well with in med school and happened to be radiologists. The radiology clerkship director was just a really, really great guy, who had a huge influence on myself and like all the other people in my class that went into radiology.
Do you remember, were there like a lot of people in your class who decided to go into radiology?
Yes. So we actually started an interest group, like during med school, for radiology. It had been defunct for like over a decade or something, and we like brought it back. Yeah, we revived it. We started it, and with the help of this faculty advisor, and then it ended up being essentially like, I like to take credit for getting my friends to hop on the
should take full
the train
credit.
into the dark. But yeah, ended up being like 10 of us from my class that ended up applying for radiology. Which is a big number compared to all the other years.
Yeah,
it's usually just like a couple, and I think that was a big part because we started this interest group, and then all of us were hanging out together, and just were like, oh,
yeah, you choose. Sometimes sometimes you choose the people.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Choose the people.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But I think the appreciation for radiology really came like like, hey, every single thing. Every sick person coming to the hospital is dependent on an imaging study, and you're kind of like that crucial part of the,
You're involved.
the management.
Coach.
Yeah. So,
Coach.
yeah, exactly. So, and, I'm, yeah, so.
Good, man.
No, so, and then from there you went to the West Side.
The West Side, yes, West Coast. Yeah, that was interesting. It was, You're asking why, or?
Yeah.
Well, I did residency at University of Southern California in Los Angeles, so kind of bounced around, from Midwest to East Coast, and then went.
Killed the steps.
Huh? No, I didn't. I didn't.
He did.
No,
He must have. He's
No, I
Yes.
definitely did not. No.
Okay.
You don't fall into USC.
No, I think. No, I think it was just
Reverse backflip? No way. That's California.
No, it would. I definitely did not kill steps, but I think it's just it just ends up being a fit thing sometimes.
Well, good for you, man.
Yeah.
It's a great place. I interviewed
Yeah,
there
did
for
you?
interventional radiology.
Ah,
And
so you probably
I was very close.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Do you remember who you met there?
No.
Yeah, it's okay. All
It's
right,
been a
yeah,
while.
yeah.
I mean, the program director at the time was very big in the IR, and I think she was an interventional radiologist, but I don't remember her name.
Yeah, so our residency program director was Dr. Marks, Victoria
Okay.
Marks. I really like her. Fantastic, yeah. And then I'm trying to think who was the fellowship director now. Might be Dr. Katz, but I don't know if you met him. Really nice guy. Yeah.
I think Ryu is out there now.
What's that?
Ryu from Colorado.
Oh
I think
yeah,
he
he's
went
the
out
new
there.
chair. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't get to meet him. He came on his chair after I left. But yeah.
Now, were you guys the same year? I guess
2016 from residency, 2017 from fellowship.
I have to do the math. Is that sad that I have to do the math?
wait, what?
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic?
Yeah.
I finished pre-pandemic.
No, I think you were a year ahead.
Year ahead, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
2017, 18, yeah.
So that's when you guys were in Boston at the same time.
Yeah, so you did MGH?
Yep.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, 16 and 17. Yeah, man.
You killed it.
Wow.
You must have killed the stats, man.
That's right.
Sometimes you know.
Love it.
No,
Where did you residency, by the way? Sorry.
Mayo in
Okay.
Rochester.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's impressive, man.
That's good.
Oh, that's good.
Look at us now.
Yeah. How was Mayo?
I liked it. I really did. It was cold, but I liked it. Yeah, I mean,
It was not USC.
No. People
Mayo.
were very
That's
nice.
Mayo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I saw just about everything that you could see,
Yeah.
and a lot of support and resources. You know, it was a wonderful place.
That's great, man.
Yeah, it was good. So I don't regret it.
Good.
Love
Good.
it.
Yeah.
We're here. We made it here.
And then,
What's the best thing about being an attending?
the money, I think, but no, I'm just kidding.
Hey,
But you know,
hey, we're gonna
yes,
we're
it's
gonna
good.
keep it a buck here.
Yes,
You get
exactly.
paid. You didn't get paid.
Well, the
You
biggest
invested a lot
difference.
of
I mean,
money.
it's that's the biggest.
It is the biggest
one of the
difference,
biggest
yeah.
differences
Yeah.
between you know, attending and being a trainee. Yeah, I mean, along those lines, definitely, you know, feeling like, you know, being able to support your family and
Yeah.
finally achieving, you know, the dreams that you've had for this many years, and you know, that's a huge blessing.
Absolutely.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I don't
So,
know about you, but I can just I think back on the things that would have worried my parents, or I think back on the things that worried me as a kid, and now I don't even give it another thought. It's like,
Yes.
you know, you look in the kitchen and you're like, well, where's the food?
Yes. Yeah.
It's not about
Exactly. Yeah.
whether or not you had the means to go get the food.
Yeah.
It's whether or not you just took the time to go get
That's
it.
exactly right.
And it's like
Exactly.
that there I don't take for granted.
Not
Yes.
at all. Not at all. And we always talk about this all the time. I feel like one of the nicest things about, you know, being comfortable is that, like, you know, you can just do things.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to necessarily worry about, you know, doing a vacation or going out to dinner.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, I remember in residency,
Oh,
residency was funny. We used to do this credit card roulette thing. Have you guys ever done that?
mm-hmm.
Oh, this is a
I
disaster.
don't know what that is. Actually.
Oh, it's a disaster.
I didn't like that game, man. I
It
don't know
was
what-
not good. Basically, you know, you go out with all your co-residents, and it's like, let's say it's like 6, 7 of you guys, right?
Yeah.
So basically, everyone orders, eats. You know, I don't drink, but everyone else drinks. You know, they drink. Bill comes, and instead of telling the waiter or waitress to split the
Yeah.
cost, you basically just give them all your credit cards,
The waiter? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
and then they one by one put the credit cards down
Uh-huh.
from behind their back,
Oh.
and the last person that they put down pays for everything.
But do they have to like shuffle it?
Yeah, they're supposed to shuffle it. But yes, I just remember credit card roulette.
How many times did you do
that? Twice.
Okay.
I never had to pay though.
Ooh,
yes.
You would lose in that one.
Oh,
man.
absolutely. Yeah.
And if you don't drink,
no, yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Drinks are like half the bill.
exactly. But now, I think the nice thing is that you can go out to dinner. You can do these things that you've been kind of sacrificing, not doing, for such a long time. So it's definitely one of the nicest perks. Like, I don't think it's necessarily all the other big things, but just the day-by-day things. So.
Nice.
So, can you tell me what was most difficult about going into radiology as a black man, or what do you feel like were the tallest, the highest hurdles to climb?
Yeah.
To leap over.
That's a great question, and I think it's definitely something that needs to be talked about. I think I have to choose one. So I think just in general, being a black man in medicine, in the medical field, not in seeing as many people that look like you, or that not having difficulty finding those role models. Fortunately, I was lucky; I was able to find them. But it's, it can have an effect on your confidence and your subconscious and your psyche.
Absolutely.
How can you become something if you're not seeing enough examples of that, or how it can be done.
There's a lot of trial and error in radiology too. So it's like you probably feel extra pressure when they call you out in conference.
Yeah.
To
Yes.
answer a question, or if they, if you miss something,
Yeah.
or the attending see the dictation error, it's
Exactly.
these things come with extra pressure, obviously.
Yes.
Think about the family we mentioned earlier. You're
Yes.
the golden child. You're the one that made it. You
100%.
You better not embarrass me.
Yes,
You gotta
100%.
do better than.
100%.
Exactly.
More
Yeah.
times over. So
Yes.
yeah,
And there, I think along with that, you get that identity, right? Yeah, as if you're in any residency program, you're pretty much going to be in radiology residency. You're pretty much going to be the only one, or one of two or three. Fortunately, I had one other with me in my class. But then the downside to that was that people would get us mixed up all the time. This actually happened, and I don't know if I should share this on the.
You should definitely share it.
Okay, well, so and
a great story.
everything ended up fine, but when I was applying for fellowships, my good friend and classmate in residency, who also happened to be African American and had a very similar name to mine. We were both also applying for the same kind of fellowship, MSK fellowship, and
on the same program.
on the same program. And
but you're in LA now.
I'm in LA now. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. And so what ended up happening was, so obviously we, everything's kind of at the same time. We have to get a letter from a certain same person, letter of recommendation from a certain same person. And, I'm going through the process, getting some interviews, feeling excited. One of the early interviews that I get, or at one of the programs that I get, I talked to one of the current fellows there at MSK who's interviewing me. He's like, hey, do you go by Hussan, or do you go by my classmate's name? And I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, in your application it says, in your letter of recommendation from this person, it actually says, and then insert my classmate's name. So this letter writer got us mixed up and wrote my recommendation letter using that other person's name.
I wonder who he's thinking about.
Yes. So, you know, and we happen to be the only, So, you know, so I think, but fortunately it ended up working out just fine. That letter writer was fantastic in terms of fixing everything and made some calls and made sure that I got the MSK fellowship that I wanted. But turned it into a positive, but it was, you know, I think it still states a lot of things in terms of, you know, how people group, you know, people together that have similarities and, you know, inherent biases and things like that. But
absolutely, man. You said a key word that's been a hot topic
these
days, biases that we have. And if you have a brain, you have a bias. And there's a lot of biases out there. And these subconscious things that we just similarity bias that we're talking about over and over again. Just having somebody that looks like you and coming to conclusions based on those similarities. You know, it can sometimes hurt you, a lot of times hurt you, and sometimes help. The idea is we check them and we think about it, but I'm glad
it works out.
It
works out.
It'll
work out.
You know,
keep trying. It'll work out.
What's meant to be will happen, as they say, right?
Exactly.
So a shout out to the first black radiologist, Marcus Wheatland, born 1868, and graduated from Howard Medical School in 1895.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
First one,
Fantastic.
man.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't 1985.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for pressing play. Dr. Hussan, Mohammed, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys yes, absolutely.
Hit us on IG at Reading Room Talk and drop a line or voice note to readingroomtalk@gmail.com so we can discuss your case. Please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or wherever you get your pods, preferably in between cases.